Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we talk about a shocking release by a team in the NFC and where that player could potentially end up and where might actually surprise you. We wrap up OTAs for the Patriots on this final day of organized team activities and talk a little bit about where Drake May stands and some future dates coming up that you need to be aware of. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments and let us know what you think about the Patriots through OTAs and where this team stands as it relates to the AFC East and the playoff picture. And make sure you go and give us a like if you like what you hear, and go back and check out all of our other episodes so you can get caught up on everything going on with the Patriots in the offseason. We start looking at the Green Bay Packers and the mildly surprising decision to cut ties with all-pro cornerback Gaier Alexander. Talent-wise alone can easily be ranked among the top 10, potentially top 5 cornerbacks in the entire league, but carrying a near $20 million salary and playing just 8 games over the past 2 years, the Packers seemingly tired of trying to figure out when and when not Gaier Alexander would play, deciding that contract is not worth the hassle and moving on from a very talented player. While I would love to sit here and tell you that the Patriots would definitely be in on somebody of this caliber, I don't think it really lines up for the Pats at this juncture. If Jair were to come in, you'd be talking about probably the greatest assembling of cornerback talent potentially ever if you're putting Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, and Jair Alexander out there. I just don't see that lining up, nor do I think that's what Jair really wants right now. Also, unfortunately for the Patriots, I think that there are 2 of the 3 top teams out there happen to reside in the AFC East. One could be the Miami Dolphins, who likely will be moving on from Jalen Ramsey and could be looking for a replacement, and Jair Alexander would make a ton of sense to essentially absorb the type of money that Ramsey does and would make, and allowing Alexander to come in and kind of take that role. Additionally, the Buffalo Bills did talk to the Green Bay Packers about the potential availability of Jair Alexander prior to the NFL draft. Now that Jair is back on the open market, the Buffalo Bills could easily revisit that conversation. Again, they did take a cornerback early in the draft and taking Kentucky Malik Harrison, excuse me. But again, never having enough talent, especially on that side. And while Benford and Taron Johnson are there, and Harrison adding into a really good trio, when you're able to bring that in and take the pressure off, that could make a lot of sense. Again, neither of those would you rather line up against Jair twice a year. One that hopefully makes more sense for Jair, and one that allows him to get a certain measure of revenge and could potentially join up with former teammate Aaron Jones with the Minnesota Vikings, who will be looking for cornerback help as well. Likely would pay to make something like that happen and allow Alexander to stick it to the team that decided to cut him twice a year here, while potentially looking at the playoff scenario as well with 2 talented rosters. Again, leaving everything open to possibility. Every team that has the cap space will be after someone as talented as Jair Alexander. Unfortunately, his injury history is something to take into account, but at this juncture, do not expect the Patriots to be all in on Jair. Additionally, for today is the last day of organized team activities, moving from the voluntary to mandatory section, and everyone is essentially accounted for the Patriots, and we've seen a lot of things kind of happen and unfold over the past 4 weeks or so. We are set for a long break. We don't have the exact date for training camp quite yet, but looking in mid to late July, essentially, and taking over a month here. For the Patriots to step away and pretty much start the offseason in earnest after getting through free agency, the NFL draft, OTAs, and getting a little bit of a break. So again, we'll continue to have all the information as it comes out for you, but quickly we can touch on some of the things that we really did learn from here. And what I think starts with is Stefon Diggs. I know we had the issue up front, but I think what we learned is that what happens on the field is much different than what happens off of it. And on the field, he looks like a player who definitely did not tear his ACL anytime recently. Has gone through all of the drills, was out there with the wide receivers on Monday, going through the paces, doing everything that everyone else is doing, and looking just as fast, if not faster, than everybody else out there. Additionally, when looking at which wide receivers could actually be in the fold, I think Mac Hollins didn't do a ton, but likely will be in that mix based upon his free agency signing. Pop Douglas getting a chance to round out those three wide receiver sets. Kyle Williams pushing all of those guys to be in the mix. Kayshon Boutte continuing to show that last year was not necessarily a fluke, and undrafted free agent Efton Chisholm really surprising some people and showing that he will push for a roster spot. Unfortunately, I think players like Kendrick Bourne, Javen Baker, and Jalen Polk have not shown a ton and will have an uphill battle to make this team. Something we also do know essentially is that the offensive line is looking pretty set. Will Campbell will be at left tackle, Morgan Moses on the opposite bookend at right tackle, Mike Onwenu kicks in at right guard, Bradbury steps in as the center after signing in free agency, and at left guard, it looks like, for all intents and purposes, with taking the reins at that position, will be former first-round pick Cole Strange. The UT Chattanooga standout gets a chance to regain the spot he lost due to injury. It's good to see him back out there and really going through everything and not having to take any time off, and hopefully giving the Patriots offensive line a chance to gel and come to a cohesive unit, which is something that Drake May truly needs in front of him. Additionally, on the opposite side of the ball, the focus will be on the Patriots' pass rush, and I think more on the edges than the interior. We know Milton Williams and Christian Barmore are really going to create a strong 1-2 punch, but whether it's Keon White, whether it's Harold Landry, who is more of a run stopper than a pass rusher, Levon Chasen, whether it's Anthony Jennings, getting more of those pass rush guys and creating that consistent will be very key for the Patriots moving forward, and we'll want to see a lot of that through training camp. And hopefully that does become easier because of something that we did see a ton out there, and that is the dynamic cornerback duo of Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. Davis finally getting back out onto the practice field after skipping most of the voluntary portion. Again, it sets up well for the Patriots. It will be interesting who locks down that slot cornerback spot, because there will be a lot of attention brought there because of the talent, but for the rest of those two individuals. Additionally, coming from training camp, and all eyes have been, I should say OTAs, all eyes have been on Drake May, and someone who admittedly got off to a slow start, but has started to kind of understand what Josh McDaniels wants from this offense and how it's going to play out. When asked about it on Monday, May said that I think we're catching the stride. I said, I think I'm starting to find a stride. I'm bummed out. We're actually about to leave, but it's fun. May, again, I think while a young player, again, has started half the season essentially, he is a guy that is developing into a leader for Mike Vrabel. Obviously, that's everything you want from your quarterback. They are putting him in the middle, under the spotlight, everything you can say. This is going to be Drake May's team, but it is good to see that he's picking up the scheme that Josh McDaniels wants, and it's going to be much different than everything he had last year, and it's going to be different too because this is a different Josh McDaniels. This is not a guy who is biding his time for the next head coaching gig. This is not a guy that is trying to get back to a certain spot. This is a guy who is coming home. This is a guy who's settling back in and is taking everything he has learned. He's even surrounded by former head coaches and offensive coordinators all over the staff, and by all accounts is welcoming new ideas and wanting this team to get better however they see fit. And that's only something that Drake May will really benefit from, while also learning and, unfortunately, making mistakes at times. And we've said that, and McDaniels has said it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and don't make the same ones over and over again. And May even remarked on owning those mistakes. He said that you can take that with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you don't want to turn the football over and get into bad habits. He said, I feel like I've done a good job of trying to keep the football in our hands, and that's one of our key focuses. And again, for Drake May, whether you want to say he's a gunslinger, whether he's, a snake in the pocket, being able to get around, create some magic, look downfield, fit in the tight windows, you can do all those things as long as you protect the football. You can take chances, but know that you're taking a chance that doesn't put the ball at risk, that is giving your player a chance at it and not the defender. And again, these are things that will take time. There will be times where it will not go the Patriots' way or Drake May's way, but as long as he learns from that mistake and doesn't make it in the future, a la the same thing we saw from Tom Brady for 20 years. And finally, we look at several key dates here for the Patriots, including, is Tom Brady actually going to get that long rumored statue outside of Gillette? With this month and a half break, expect to get a lot of clarity on these dates. As we just mentioned, training camp not yet official, but projected to be in that July 20 to 25th range, which really does give us a month and a half before we see all of these Patriots back out on the practice field. Additionally, expect to get some confirmation around that statue and statue unveiling for Brady outside of Gillette. I think this is a give me at this point a shoe-in. It's just a time, a place, and a when. And hopefully we can see Tom Brady back in Foxborough yet again. Always great to see the GOAT back at his old stomping grounds. And finally, two other things to keep an eye on will be the Patriots Hall of Fame ceremony for both Julian Edelman and the Big Tuna himself, Bill Parcells. Expect to get that over the next month and a half. And finally, a possible in-stadium practice for anyone in the greater Foxborough area, Boston, Rhode Island, etc. This will likely be for ticket holders and for Foxborough residents. So keep your ears open and eyes as well for a chance to go see the Patriots as they continue to install of Josh McDaniels' offense, of Mike Vrabel's defense and overall team, as this culture continues to take shape and the Patriots start to march back towards relevancy. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Latest. Again, make sure you get in the comments. Let us know what you think about how Drake May has started from essentially day one to now, where the Patriots are as a team and where you expect to see them finish in the AFC East. Make sure you give us a like if you've liked what you hear. And if you do, go back and check out all of our old episodes so you can find out everything that you need to know about your favorite team. We'll have it all for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.